Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Senna, aka Alinko, and this evening we'll be engaging with individuals, professionals who are going to be discussing a very important topic today. So stay tuned. Once you come on the feed, please share it, like the page, share it so we can be part of this very important conversation, which is about the a global call for Pan-African dialogue. Basically, this is a Pan-African conversation, and the topic is from New York to Nairobi, a global call for Pan-African dialogue. This evening, we will be engaging these individuals, as I mentioned, to help us in this discourse, and I have them here. Please, let's welcome. Before we continue, we just want to make sure that Dr. Vickie can hear us and we can hear you. Okay, looks like we're having a glitch there. And then voila, can you hear us? If you can, say hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Great. Okay, that's fantastic. So we'll start from the top and go all the way down. Briefly tell us, of course, give us a little bit about your background, your organization, and then we can dive into the conversation itself. We'll start with Dr. Robyn. Dr. Robyn is the co-founder of Africa Voices Dialogue. Dr. Robyn Whittaker, welcome to the show. And again, we would like to take the maybe a few seconds to get to know you better. Please go ahead.
Thanks so much, Senna. So great to be here. Thank you so much for having all of us as a group of friends and co-creators and workers together, very hard workers recently. So my name is Robyn Whittaker. I'm based in Johannesburg in South Africa. So it's early hours of the morning for me. And I'm the co-founder and the director of Africa Voices Dialogue, which is a learning ecosystem activator across the African continent. And we focus on really supporting and creating spaces of community care and belonging for anybody who cares about learning, human development, and thriving on the African continent. And specifically what we do is we create spaces where the voices of our continent's educators, learners, community members, anybody who cares about a thriving African continent can be seen, heard, and loved, are connected in dialogue, but more than that, progressively become connected through relationship, and through building that relationship are able to really start to co-design, co-imagine, and co-create a wonderful future for the continent. And we've been very, very fortunate over the years. We've been operating for 5 years now, and very, very fortunate during that time to have evolved a fantastic network of partners across and beyond the continent, including everybody who's here today. So thank you so much, Senna.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robyn. Dr. CHEVY EUGENE, you are the co-founder. No, sorry, not the you are the Caribbean Special Representative for the Pan-African Council, which is PAC. Please tell us a bit about your organization and the reason for being on the show today.
Good evening, good morning, buenos tardes, wherever you're located, sending love and positive energy. So first, I want to thank you for having us on the show. I want to thank my colleagues for being here to participate in this conversation. It's a very important conversation, particularly where we are in a political climate that threatens the very existence of Black life. I mean, Black life has always been threatened, but now it has been heightened, right, via mainstream media. So I want to thank you for the opportunity, and we're hoping folks who are listening could participate in what we'll be discussing later on the side event. But so thankful for that. So thank you for that opportunity. So as I mentioned, my name is CHEVY EUGENE. I am based in Halifax, Canada, at Dalhousie University. I'm an assistant professor in political science and the Black and African Diaspora Studies program. My work revolves, or my research is on the Black radical tradition, decolonial praxis, and more specifically on radical reparations. So as the Caribbean representative for the Pan-African Council, my main objectives is to bridge the Caribbean and the Caribbean diaspora with organizations and people on the African continent, in addition to the diaspora as well, beyond the Caribbean diaspora. So as the Caribbean representative for Pan-African Council, and the council is one of the key things about the council, we try to bridge the gap between Africa and the diasporas. So I'm the Caribbean representative. However, we have folks on the continent, but also in the diaspora as well. So for example, Brazil, Colombia, the US, etc. So what we try to do, or what we do, I should say, is facilitate dialogues and also actions. So for example, one of our recent initiatives, where we facilitated the Colombian government in South Africa and also facilitated the engagement with other countries across the continent as well. So we do it at a high level, and I put that in quotes, from a government to government perspective, NGO level, and also at grassroots level. So looking at opportunities for investment, for trade, and for cultural exchanges as well. So that's basically a summary of the Pan-African Council. For folks who are interested in learning more about the Pan-African Council, you could Google it, and you could sign up for the newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. CHEVY. We would like to hear from Kimberly. Kimberly M. Nelson, you are the president of, sorry, I have a glitch. You're the president of Global Impact Industries and the CEO as well. Please tell us what the Global Impact Industries stand for and what it means. And of course, your role as a CEO, how challenging has that been? How successful and challenging has that been so far for you? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on this podcast show with you and bringing awareness around Pan-African dialogue. My name is Kimberly Nelson, and I'm an integrative interdisciplinarian. What I do is study processes and systems and how do we solve community and ecosystem challenges with an international business administration and data analytics lens. Our vision is to evangelize society through economic development and to mobilize workforce production and revolutionize our world systems of politics and economics. And we do that with working through our company as an international consortium. And we work with various different educational institutions, the private sector, and government. And what we do is facilitate projects and programs working with them just to ensure that there's strategic, valuable alignment. And we bring together connections that really advance the mission, that bridges the opportunity to advance entrepreneurship, workforce development. And we do that through think tanks and just engaging with these organizations and institutions, but also ensuring that there's ways that we align with the geopolitical space. Strategies change all the time, even as we see even in the government. But also it requires resilience and bringing the good news and being the light to bring that all together. So that's what we do. And is it challenging? Absolutely, yes. But we navigate through that pathway.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us a bit background of your organization. And in a little bit, we'll be diving into the conversation itself. If you just joined us, this is the Progressive Mind Show, and we'll be talking about from New York to Nairobi, a global Pan-African conversation or global Pan-African dialogue. And so please stay with us. Again, we encourage you to be part of it as we build the global Pan-African community together. We have Wala on here with us. Wala, can you please tell us a little bit about your organization? You are the CEO of BIRTHRIGHT. I'm sure not only CEO, but also the co-founder of Africa BIRTHRIGHT.
Yes. Hi.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is ELSHEIKH. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BIRTHRIGHT Africa. We are a diaspora-facing organization based in New York, where I grew up as a Sudanese immigrant from the age of 10, very disconnected from the continent. And so the mission of Birthright was actually born out of that own desire for me to connect and realizing we all needed that as youth and young adults. And so that is our mission, to empower young people of African descent, ages 13 to 30, with immersive travel that starts in the diaspora, culminates on the continent, and is actually sponsored. So in that way, it's free and a birthright to claim the roots, the heritage, which we consider as the culture and the innovation, past, present, and future, so that we truly carry ourselves with a pride, confidence, and creativity to establish ourselves as global leaders, entrepreneurs, and build on the legacy and wealth of our ancestors and ensure that we fulfill on all our greatness.
That's very powerful. So you're doing this on a yearly basis, where basically you fund, sorry about that, you fund individuals from the diaspora who would like to go to Africa, particularly West Africa, to connect with their ancestral heritage. Is that basically what Africa Birthright is?
So Birthright Africa is actually building an ecosystem. Going back to Kimberly, and the way we really want to scale this work is in collaboration. We support high schools, colleges, and community-based organizations that have the young people of Black African descent, and helping them establish Birthright programs. And so together we are working through itineraries and traveling and fundraising. And it's not just Birthright Africa. It's all of us as community leaders, educators. We have programs throughout the country of the US, and hopefully will be global soon. We have about 4 to 5 trips annually, but we are now ready to scale the work, and we hope to have 500 plus partners over the next 10 years.
Thank you so much for giving us that a bit much more in depth of your work at Birthright Africa. Pardon me, I interchanged the word. So Birthright Africa.
No,
really
it's all good. I get all kinds of variations, but and I'll apologize in advance. I do have to leave in about 20 minutes.
Okay, no problem, no problem. But let's get, before you leave, let's get to why we're here, which is this side event. So the UN Assembly is coming up this week, I think next week, right? And so what you all are doing as a collective is to basically have a side event during the week of the assembly to create a dialogue within, create a dialogue create a dialogue for the Pan-African community, right? Which of course would attract interested individuals, organizations who are Pan-African oriented or diaspora oriented, to get to what? What is the end goal for this gathering that you're planning? First of all, is my description of what is going to happen during the UN Assembly Week accurate? If not, can you please elaborate? And I'd like to start with Kim, and then Dr. Robyn, you can respond to it as well.
Yeah, so it would have been awesome to start with Robyn, because we started this
all right,
journey.
Let's go to Robyn.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Robyn.
Yeah.
Robyn, take us home. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kim. Would have been awesome to start with Vickie, actually, but since she's battling, we'll start with me. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I think that really the dialogue that we're having at the UN General Assembly as a virtual side event is part of a series of dialogues and part of a very long-standing relationship between Global Impact Industries, the Pan-African Council, and then progressively more and more entities and collectives that have mobilized around the initiative that we've been now running for a year, which really is, as an overarching theme, focused on bridging our humanity and connecting Africa, the historically Black colleges and universities, and the diaspora around an agenda that is Pan-African by nature, but also really focused on generating the connections and deepening the relationships between individuals in those various spaces for the objectives of supporting deep collaboration around education and learning, research, workplace opportunities, entrepreneurship, and, as we said before, a thriving African continent. And as you will have heard from all the participant members, I think the one key thing that we are all focused on is the incredible need to connect, to collaborate, and to build these ecosystems. And ecosystems, you know, because they're kind of the word of the moment, they can feel a little bit trite over time. But I think that what the fundamental with an ecosystem is not about building something new. It is about removing the barriers, unlocking the flow, and bridging the spaces where resources lie, so that actually there's movement of those resources, and we're able to see into each other's worlds. We're able to gain insight into what assets are around and into what people's hearts have within them, what they want to share, and how we can create these real connections first around our intent. What is the intent that we hold for the continent? I think all of us are connected by a singular intent. We want to see this continent thrive. It doesn't matter which part of it or where in the diaspora we sit. We want to see everything to do not only with the soil of Africa, but with the spirit of Africa move into its own. And that's what's at the heartbeat of this event. And we are also hoping to use this event to invite people into longer term relationship with us, to help us build together around these really exciting, ambitious, but we believe completely achievable objectives. They're not achievable if we're sitting in our corners doing desperately chipping away at an enormous issue, but they are imminently achievable if we unblocked the barriers between us and we start to really see what's possible and who has what where and how we can connect that and make this move. So I'll hand back to Kimberly, if that will be fine with you, Senna, if you don't mind me doing that job.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, thanks for giving us a bit more background. So before Kim comes in, since we have a short time with Wala, I would like you to jump in quickly. And firstly, your opinion on the global call for this Pan-African dialogue. How did you get to be part of your group that is going to be convening this conversation? And if you want to share that with us quickly.
I would love to. And I am actually so thrilled to go after Robin, because the way you just defined ecosystem, honestly, the best definition and so inspiring. And it's exactly what Birthright Africa is doing. I've always said as a founder, I've always known there's groups bringing young people to the continent, but why isn't this known? Why isn't this understood? Why isn't this happening more? And it is unlocking those resources, getting into each other's worlds and really collaborating. And so for me, this event really is meant to help everyone understand that that's what they can do and that's what they can be a part of. And the way I was introduced to this amazing organization or collaboration that is through Kimberly. Kimberly and I were introduced by email for an event she was hosting in Ghana between JSU, John C. Smith University, and the African think tank. And I was arriving for my latest round of 2 months in Ghana. I live bicontinental between the US and Ghana. And so meeting her there on the continent, hearing all the amazing work she's doing to bring different institutions together, everything she just described. And we just felt that immediate kindred spirit and knew we would want to work together, and ended up running into each other at a social event. And then she invites me to join a meeting with the Diaspora Affairs Office. Next thing, she's sharing with me this opportunity. So it truly is, what I love about that is that it started on the continent, right? We as diasporans are actually there. We're really trying to engage. And that is truly what Birthright Africa is trying to support, and particularly the young African diaspora. For me, it's so critical. We start at the age of 13 to 30. And even at that age, off of one trip, 7 to 10 days, we have over 90% of our alumni telling us they can see themselves living and working on the continent or engaging in some capacity, even if they are living in the diaspora. And that, to me, is where we really move the needle, where it becomes not just Pan-African dialogue, but it becomes Pan-African action around the world. But we need to first really bring that awareness to everyone. And so I love that we have both the word action and dialogue on the title, because it's a combination of the two.
Before you go, how important is this conversation? Dr. Vickie, can you hear us?
I've heard you all along. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, we can hear you now. Great.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, we can hear Dr. Vickie now. So Kim, before you sign off, again, what I want to find out from you is, you spoke eloquently about birthright and of course the need for this conversation, but for someone who have not heard about Pan-Africanism or is not familiar with diaspora, how important is it for global Blacks to prioritize dialogues and convenings as this one?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, Wala. Yes, because you're about to leave,
I
wanted you to respond to this before you sign off.
I got you. It is super important. The reason we are disconnected is because we're not having the dialogue and the conversation. You won't even think about traveling to Africa often as a diasporan unless someone is telling you, oh, I'm going to Tanzania, I'm going to Ghana, I'm going to South Africa. Then it starts the dialogue, like, wait, you're going? And so what is that like? Is that possible for me? Like, who do you know there? Do you have to know someone there? Africa has been such a foreign place for so many of us, even those of us who were born there. Because again, I came at the age of 10, but through, various reasons, couldn't be there for 15 years. I was a political asylee. We have our reasons for, being in the diaspora, but unless we are in the community and the environment of people that are connected, we are disconnected. And often the dialogue leads to the action of then connecting, whether that is travel, whether that is a conversation virtually, right? Even just seeing classrooms talk to each other, counterparts of students from the diaspora and on the continent, that's a connection. It's an exposure, right? Like having tangible understanding of who's on the other side. Otherwise, it's all through this media lens, right? Which is what it has been historically through television. Exactly. And social media does a better job, but it also throws, all kinds of things in the mix. So you really want that more personal touch, hearing, seeing, experiencing, because once you connect to the culture, then getting to the action of investment or doing business or continuing to travel. And then you've set up the rest of the generations of your family as a Black diaspora to continue.
Exactly. What you said is very important. And it leads me to this question that I also want to ask you. And this is not for all the panelists, but just you. Maybe Vickie can chime in on this later. But you said something very powerful, which is, the need for us to connect both Africans on the continent and the diaspora, and we of course have to do a lot more dialogues. My question is, are you aware of this disconnect between Africans, Caribbeans, and African Americans in the diaspora? What do you think is the reason, and what can we do to start changing the narrative? Go ahead.
So the underlying issue, like most, is the lack of education and the lack of history and understanding, not just the other, but ourselves. I didn't get to study Africa in school. I didn't get to connect to my own history, right? I didn't fully even get to learn Black American history. Forget Caribbean history. So like, you don't understand your own history. You don't understand each other's diaspora history. There's gonna be all kinds of disconnect. It happens ultimately later in life if you meet those people or if you end up traveling. But like the fact that it's not seeded early and in our educational system, you don't even realize how important it is until you start to recognize other cultures or other groups or folks that know their history. And then especially if you meet that Black person that really knows their history, you see the way they walk and talk with a level of pride and confidence that you're like, wait, something's missing from me.
Right.
And then they have an ability to connect with every type of Black person in a way that you couldn't have even understood until you start exploring and having that dialogue. And so we do that at Birthright Africa with young people. And then any conversation like the one we're about to have on Thursday allows us to, you know, express and share and learn from each other because we're coming from the different points of the diaspora.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us this, you know, breakdown to what it is that Birthright Africa does, and of course adding your thoughts to this divide and what we need to heal and unite as a people. Everything you said is on my heart, and this is what we've been preaching for years now. So I really appreciate you for the work you're doing and that which you've done already. Feel free to stay with us if you can, but if you need to, let me know in the back in the private room, and I would exit you out. But Dr. Vickie Casanova is here. What a show it would have been without her. And now that she's here, we would give her the opportunity to Dr. Vickie, you basically, correct me if I'm wrong, pulled this group together, or at least have played a pivotal role in pulling this group together to engage in this important dialogue that is going to happen in the week of the UN Assembly. Please give us a little background and the significance of this conversation. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I will do that. Dr. Vickie Casanova-WILLIS. I am the Deputy Director and Senior Fellow for OHBCUD, which is the Office of HBCU Development and International Cooperation. So this group this evening, yes, I had the honor of being one of the collaborators learning about and working toward this whole EDIS amazing process of community building and circle through communication, and just, you know, grace, like granting grace to understand some of the things that I could hear you the whole time, I just couldn't get online. But, you know, that grace to understand that we don't know what we don't know, and to let go of some of the assumptions, and, you know, that maybe are built around misunderstandings, stereotypes, you know, what have you, a lack of opportunity to get to know others well. So my work is, as you heard in the acronym, HBCUs. That is an organization that really is a network or collaboration or collective across over 200 historically Black colleges and universities, and PBIs, predominantly Black institutions. Our whole purpose and mission is to help connect with, reinforce, amplify, and support the ongoing legacy. It's long and strong, but the ongoing legacy. So I will tell you that before I joined this evening, I said, you know what? I'm going to listen more than I talk. You know, we hear my students, I teach I'll say I teach toddlers, teens, and teachers, and we can discuss that at a whole nother time. But as far as education is concerned, you know, what my colleagues are doing in various spheres is really helping ensure that there's a better understanding across the globe, and even at the local level. And that's where this global conversation in the human rights framework, which really is what the United Nations brings, is the opportunity. And during this week, it's actually called the UN General Assembly, UNGA. So it's the 80th, and which is why you will see, if you Google, anyone can do this, just really hundreds and hundreds of what we're doing right now, which is an official, it's called a side event. And it just means you don't have to be on the floor in the UN body to come together and have these conversations, invite, you know, whoever will join. And again, thank you so much for allowing us this platform and this opportunity to begin to just share some of the things that are on our hearts and minds, and the opportunities that this collective, collaborative, and others working with these groups is working toward to not just have this conversation this week, starting in New York around the UN General Assembly, but to Kenya next month, and then virtually, and then in person in Kenya, in Nairobi in 2026. Very important because it can influence policy and change hearts. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. We'll come back to you again to elaborate. Dr. CHEVY, you've been listening keenly. Again, to you, how significant is this conversation or dialogue? Are you looking to invite people to be part of it? How are you doing it, if you may?
Thank you. I've been listening keenly indeed. I'm just really inspired as always when I hear folks, particularly in this session, share the work that they do. I feel like each time they speak to the work, I learn something new. So thank you. For me, for PARC in particular, my entry point, several things were said. Sorry, I was just making notes as well. Several things were said that that influenced certain thoughts. I think one thing that's important, so even while I was saying earlier on, people were not aware, how speaking about Africa, the continent of Africa, even for someone being born in Africa, it feels very foreign, right? And one thing I want to say for us, PAC in particular, I mean in the conversation in particular, because it could all fit within that framework, it's tapping into an ongoing important conversation of reparations. And you might ask yourself, what role does reparations play in this conversation? I would say there are multiple ways of thinking about reparation. One of them, I think, for us from the African continent and in the diaspora, someone like me from St. Lucia, born in St. Lucia, now living in Canada, one could say I've been twice diasporized, an African diaspora person and a Caribbean diaspora person. One important aspect I want us to think of is the reparations relationship repair aspect of things, right? So while I spoke about the idea of not knowing other folks as well, of not having that connection, one thing that transatlantic slavery did and colonialism did is rupture relationships. Relationships, I think someone mentioned, I think it was Robin, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think it was Wala, sorry. Relationship with ourselves and knowing who we are. And that's so important. So in that reparative justice aspect of the dialogues and the exchanges, one thing we would love to do is reintroduce Africa and African diaspora to each other, which could help build some form of confidence, right? So when we talk about reparation, don't necessarily have to come from institutions that exploited and benefited, but also what does internal reparative justice look like when it comes to self-actualization, right?
Absolutely.
Being politicized and understand what's happening. So that's important.
Absolutely.
The second thing I want to say, yes, the connections are important or critical, but we must also engage with the African continent in different ways, in ways that are not exploitive. So we don't want to recreate certain frameworks that have exploited the region, right? The continent, even people in the diaspora, right? So then we have to bring in, I would say, Africanized or indigenous ways of being and knowing how we engage with each other. So that's crucial as well. So for folks listening and folks participating, what I love us to think about is how we're going to engage with people on the continent that does not exploit them. So that's very important. Yes, we're creating business, but is it exploitative or is it benefiting the continent as well? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very powerful. Kimberly, again, wanted to come to you. It took us around. It took us a little bit. We detoured, but we're back. You want to respond or just add your voice to what has been said so far?
Yeah, just driving the interconnectedness with the partnerships here through collaboration. And I have to say to Dr. Vickie and OHBCUD, they play a pivotal role in how we advance our collective effort through policymakers and practitioners. And what we do and what we're focusing on is particularly harnessing Africa's growing youth population, but also bridging that connection with historically Black college and universities. And that requires strategic investment in education aligned with the continent's resources and economic needs that connect with all of our intellectual capital that's here in the diaspora in the United States. And one of the things that led us to the UN is that here it is, where you have OHBCUD, they have formalized agreements with the United Nations, and they have that with HBCUs that allows us to bring this collective effort together. But the thing about it is the traditional models often fall short. And what we're doing is highlighting through our work the necessary collaborative efforts to bring together the context and the specific approaches rooted in Pan-African exposure, but the education exchanges, but also given the opportunity for these intellectuals to cross-pollinate and share these learning experiences and bridge the networking opportunities that allows the public, the private sector, really to engage and look at how we emerge together with the advancement. As we think about Africa being the new global frontier, it's not underway, it's now. It's technically now. So what do we need to do to create a global competitive landscape, bridging history and connection with Pan-Africanism and HBCU partnerships? We have that opportunity to have these intersections, to strengthen these ties and advance the global education networks that where we look at Pan-African universities as well as HBCUs, not limited, but really looking at how they can become the engine for economic development. And so these dialogues come together, understanding it's all part of bridging humanity, but it's all how do we become thriving citizens in a global landscape. And so this is very intentional, and it's aligning with our journey. So we're starting, like Robin mentioned, we started these dialogues virtually, and we had over 17 HBCUs and over 19 African universities that come together on a virtual platform, and you've got faculty leaders and youth leaders coming together and really looking at ways to explore how do we foster co-authored publications? What do we need to do to come together through research and advancing dialogues that allows us to really connect? And the call was, not only do we want to do this virtually, but we need to have an in-person conference. And so that's leading us to Nairobi in September. And we're carrying this out even furthermore with the virtual dialogue that will follow from there. So we're setting the course as activators to make sure that this goes into play in the way that we want to see things happen.
Fantastic. Is this the first of its kind for your group, Dr. Vickie? Dr. Vickie, can you hear me?
I think I'm the new kid on the block in this group as I look over. I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
You can? Okay. I'm the new kid on the block as far as this group is concerned. So I'm going to defer to Dr. Robyn. But I wanted to mention quickly, and thank you, Kimberly, for that shout out. I just wanted to mention quickly that we collectively, the world, needs to remember not to pursue this process, and it kind of piggybacks on what Dr. CHEVY was saying a moment ago. We don't need to view this collaboration overall and with a deficit view of Africa, right? The ideas, the ingenuity, in working with young people and elders, and when we're visiting, for example, at various universities, which there's, I think, close to about 22 right now, HBCUs that have ongoing, not just exchanges, but ongoing relationships with Africa-based universities, and that continues to increase, not just a one-time activity. I wanted to just give a shout out to part of the reason why, I did recommend to the group today, and they agreed, and that we would do this side event, is that OHBCUD, through our relationship and historic MOU with the UN Development Program, or UNDP Africa Office, and the AU, has been providing an international distance learning initiative, and that allowed African-based students to take courses online. Specifically, most of them were business courses. So working with the Business Deans Roundtable at a range of universities to be able to have that exchange without ever getting on, a plane or visas or whatever they have to. But the exchange, the brain exchange, the shared ideas, the getting to know one another is mutually beneficial. So I just wanted to make sure that we were also, saying thank you and recognizing that although we're not in person this year with UNDP Africa, they do such great work. And that is something that stretches, far beyond any one entity and organization.
Thank you very much.
So Dr. Robyn, you want to answer the other question that Brother Sena Alinko was asking?
Yes, and then in addition to that, Dr. Robyn, why New York to Kenya and not, say, South Africa, not Nigeria, not any other Africa country, but why Kenya?
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so there's lots to answer. So you'll stop me anytime you feel that you need to. So quickly, just to start with the first question, which was around how long have we been doing this work together? Right. So, kind of context of the dialogic space. So Africa Voices Dialogue has been working for 5 years, and we've held well over 50, 60 dialogues and aligned learn shops and other events over that period, basically one every 6 weeks. And that has been with a very specific pan-continental focus. So we've really done the work. We 3 co-founders. I'm in South Africa. My colleague Andrew Wambua is in Kenya. He's actually now in South Africa, but initially he was in Kenya. And then Abdelaziz Zuri is in Morocco. And so we kind of have created this ley line, and we now work also with Timosa Martin, who is in Ghana. And then we've gathered around that really more than 3,000 now community members right across the continent. So it's been building this web of connections, which has all been done virtually across the continent. We have had global participants, but we really stepped into the relationship to strengthen the connection between the diaspora and the continent from our perspective, in coming into partnership with Kimberley, Global Impact Industries, and the Pan-African Council initially. And that partnership came about. We had our first Education for Africa Dialogic Summit in October of 2024. We really wanted to see, can we know how to hold 200 people in dialogue? What would happen if we held a really big event over a number of days, using this relational connecting methodology where we drop out of certainty, control, needing to project our certainty, and we rather just go into, well, who are you? Who am I? Where do we find each other? What do we have? And how do we connect? And so as a partnership, they came on board around the time of that summit. We kind of developed this relationship, and since then we've run multiple events together. So we ran our first event in October last year. We had over 250 participants from across Africa and the diaspora participating in that. And I think that I want to touch on something that both Walla and CHEVY have referenced about internal integration and the capacity to relocate oneself and one's history in conversation with others, and to find one's own one's own sense of belonging, where you've come from, where you originate, and to do the work of unpicking the assumptions that crowd around us. And if we don't have this opportunity to be mirrored by others and to be in relationship and conversation, we don't see those assumptions for what they are. We just live in them. And so these dialogic spaces offer us such an opportunity to relocate ourselves in our identity. And fundamentally, that is an act of Ubuntu. I'm sure you're all familiar with that word, but Ubuntu in practice, which is really the recognition of it is through these generative dialogic spaces where we start to recognize that I am because you are, and what you are bringing to me and showing me as information about myself allows me to reconstruct my sense of self and to relocate myself and to become better integrated. And I think this is such an important process for the African continent, because we have been fractured and fragmented, the continent. Sorry, I say we, but I mean really across the continent and beyond the continent and into, I love that term, CHEVY, diasporization, because I love language. So that construct of like vaporizing the identity until it no longer has something to hold on to. And this is the inverse process of how do we reassimilate identity through dialogue. So to go back to the original, we've run, I think this is now the 5th or 6th event that we are running together. But we have been working in intimate connection for this entire year. And we will continue to do so. We have really got 4 events in 4 weeks that we're going to be hosting. And these are big events. And so the final question, which I will actually give to Kimberly, is the New York to Nairobi question. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So you would like Vickie to respond to the New York Nairobi question?
I don't mind. I just feel like I've taken the airtime.
No, that's fine. I mean, I was going to say, when you said you have 4 events coming up, I was going to say, are they all going to be in New York or are going to be?
No. So that is specifically. So the question, it's multifaceted. So firstly, we have an event planned that is in Nairobi. So we have an event planned physically in Nairobi on the 30th of September. We also have an upcoming our Education for Africa Dialogic Summit, which is going, it was initially the full summit was going to take place in Nairobi, but we literally are physically locating ourselves next week in Nairobi. On the 30th of September, we will be in Nairobi. And so it just felt apt to really start that pathway with the UNGA event and bring this conversation through the UNGA event and landing the importance of the global commitment to Pan-African dialogue in the UN forum, and then physically relocating it to Nairobi, where we are going to in person do the same work. And so that is, that is the real rationale behind that title.
Great. And okay, so is it going to be going forward? Is it going to be always held in Nairobi, or do you intend moving to other African countries?
Yeah.
Okay.
So absolutely, we will move.
So for clarification, yes, it's going to be in Nairobi, but we're going to broaden the opportunity to host this in other countries on the continent. But I don't want to limit it there either. We're all in 4 parts of the world, and so but right now there's a concentration. It just aligned, and then even just with the announcement that the UN was moving their headquarters there, it was just the right fit. Now keep this in mind. It's what keeps us connected to the UN and the African Union. They have sustainability development goals that really focuses on youth development and really advancing education and collaboration for sustainable development and economic development. And the way we're coming together just through this summit, we're creating a collaboration that supports our partnerships that can help us advance the diaspora to support the way we can come together and advance economic opportunity, but not just just coming together, like Robin said, just through Ubuntu, just through shared humanity spaces that allows us to realize that we can leverage our connections and bridge our knowledge and our innovation and our leadership with this whole Pan-African educational renaissance. And so that is the way we're aligning ourselves.
Fantastic. Dr. CHEVY, how significant is this type of conversation or dialogue and others that look like it for the global Black family, especially around these times that we're in?
I think you answered the question when you ended, because as I was going to start. So thank you for laying out the foundation. Thank you. I think it's an excellent question. It's an excellent question that, I guarantee you, my colleagues here, and I'm sure the listeners and yourself, we are having private conversations on what is the continuation, what is the journey or the praxis, the thinking about Pan-Africanism, speaking about Pan-Africanism, and then thinking about also working towards the steps, the practical steps. In a world, like I said, when I introduced myself, where Blackness is heightened in the sense of how we are demonized or how we are constructed of being less than human. The work that we are all doing individually, even notice from my colleagues, they're doing very powerful / critical and necessary work. And for me, I see it in twofold, like I was saying earlier, is the internal plus the practical and how we collaborate. This conversation, which I guarantee you will lead into action component, which I'm echoing my colleagues, is very important in how we respond to this global pandemic of anti-Black racism, right? So in thinking about internet liberation of oneself, there's also the economic empowerment aspect. And I love how Kimberly mentioned economic empowerment through education. There's a term that she used. She put some three words together that's very poetic and very beautiful in thinking of the role of education and bridging the gap, but also creating some forms of economic power. So I think the dialogue is very important for us to think of where we belong. Yes, a lot of things are taking place in the US, but it's also impacting Black people globally, whether in our communities, whether it's in government. And that's why I strongly believe that we should tap into our local or our knowledge systems based on where we are. So even the concept of Ubuntu and what it actually means in practice, and thinking about what Black liberation and Black empowerment looks like right now. I think I think someone mentioned, I think it was Robin, if I'm not mistaken, the Pan-African Renaissance. And I think that's important for us, not just to survive, but to thrive at the same time. So I think this dialogue is crucial. And one of the things I want to bring in there as well, is the Canadian and the Caribbean aspect as well.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
We love how the HBCUs and folks have gathered to support each other. And right now we're building some momentum with the Pan-African Council and other Black studies programs or departments in Canada as well to be part of that conversation. How do we bring folks who are doing that work on the continent, right? So I think it's necessary for Black people to survive and to thrive. That local aspect, working with our local in partnership and in conversation with our global communities. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think that it's almost it's 7 p.m. Since we started late, we would make room for a few minutes after 7 as we try to wrap up. Dr. Vickie, of course, we are both aware of the work we all do. We love this space a lot. But my question, probably to you all, is when you hear the word Pan-Africanism, especially in the diaspora, it sounds like almost like a foreign word. Even when you're talking to Black people, right? in as much as it is for us, and it is not for just for our now, but our future, and also represents our past. Why is it not why is it not the most important conversation, or one of the popular conversations among Black people, from your perspective, Dr. Vickie? Yeah.
Senna, you're probably gonna say she answers her own question before she answers my question. So I just want to give, in the spirit of education, I wanted to give a bit of homework to folks, because it's not just about the conversations, it's about the relationships that are built, the walls that come down, the spirit of, mutual support. And also, so for example, I wanted to speak to you, just, educators and scholar practitioners are about the business of only economic development, but also knowledge production, right? Trying things, visioning the future, doing things a different way. Well, what does this make? So I wanted to mention in that spirit, for example, even we talk about a lot about the youth, but this helps infuse a spirit of continuous learning, right? Reaching and thriving and growing, which it's phenomenal. And it not only benefits the people who are in that immediate circle, it really spreads from there. It benefits the world. So one bit of homework I'm going to encourage you to do, if you have never seen this, it's not a long film, but even just the trailer, diaspora, recognizing that there are many, even African diasporas. Former professor, Dr. Sheila Walker, and that exemplifies Pan-Africanism in part, to know that we are everywhere. There's a thread that runs through it, and we must get to know each other better. It helps us know ourselves better as well.
Okay, can you say the name of that? Was it a movie?
I'll drop it in the chat. We'll follow up. But it's Dr. Walker, again, a HBCU professor at Spelman College. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. I think we're having a break in your feed, so we couldn't hear it clearly. But thanks, Dr. Vickie, for that breakdown. We much appreciate it. So it's 3 minutes past 7. You've been listening to the Progressive Mind show here in Chicago, and we will be wrapping up the conversation this evening. The topic for discussion today is a global call. Actually, it's from New York to Nairobi. A global call for Pan-African dialogue. Very, very important. This is going to take place. I want you all to give us the date, the location, but of course it's taking place in New York during the UN Assembly. So maybe Dr. Robyn, give us a bit more detail, how it's going to look like. Are you going to serve food? You're not going to serve food? Are you going to have tea or coffee? All of that good stuff, right? We want to know the details. So if somebody is in that enclave and want to be part of this conversation, whether online or in person, they have a clear view and understanding of how it's going to run, and if they want to decide to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Senna. So I've popped the links actually on my title so that it's easier for people to see. So we will absolutely have food and drink in the privacy of our homes, because the UNGA event is going to be virtual. So it's a virtual side event. So anybody anywhere in the world is welcome to join us. And please bring your gin and tonic, or your whatever you feel like drinking, your beverage, and your for me it's gin and tonic. Sorry. But whatever you feel like bringing with you, we'd love you to have it. It's a deeply relational space, and so pretty relaxed. And And then our next event after that is in Nairobi. So if there is anybody in Nairobi, we are having that would like to join us, we're having a small in-person event on the 30th of September. And then lastly, we have a 2-day summit coming up, which is also virtual. And that all of the details for that can be found. That is our Education for Africa Dialogic Summit. The title for that summit is Bridging Our Humanity, Africa, HBCUs, and the Diaspora. And the website link is www.eardis.africa. All of the details on there. You can sign up. And we would love to have anybody that's been listening into this call join us. We really look forward to bringing new voices, to connecting new people, to opening new conversations, and to really just igniting the possibility that is present when we connect in this way.
Fantastic. So this is a virtual event. If you want to get the link to be a part of it, is there a website, a social media handle? Who should anyone contact if they want to get that event? I mean, the link to be a part of this.
Yeah, so it's up there on my screen. So if anybody can't see it, the bit.ly link is www.bit.ly/U, G, A, 80, lowercase t, h.
80.
That is for the UNGA virtual event happening this coming Thursday on the 18th. My time, it is at 4 to 6 p.m., but Vickie will have to tell us what time it is in New York. I think it's at 12 to
10 a.m.
10
Right.
to 12. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you, Vickie. 10 to 12. It's a 2-hour event, which sounds like long, but the time flies by when you're having fun. And then, as I said, for our summit, all of the details are available on our website, which is www.ea.
And check the UNGA guide. I'm sorry to drop.
The website
So
is
sorry, my sound is so spotty. Check the unga.com for other really important opportunities to learn together.
Yeah.
Okay, what.com?
UNGA.com.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that if someone is listening and want to be a part of this and want to get more information, if there's a direct line or source that they can get this information to be a part of it. So thank you for sharing, guys. We will bring the conversation to an end. So I guess we'll take closing remarks. We'll start from Kim. 30 seconds, please go ahead and help us close tonight's conversation. I'm hoping and looking forward to us coming back after your dialogue, and we will definitely want to know how it went and engage in several diaspora conversations with you all. But let's start with Kim. She give us her closing remarks, please.
Well, thank you so much, Alinko, for leveraging your technology and allowing us to deepen this diaspora engagement with the global network and foster the pathway for us to bridge even more partnerships across the African diaspora and all around the world. The thing that I'm really excited about, and I want to leave with you all, and what you're doing is innovation and how we drive education and awareness. How do we boost opportunity for our youth population? And we can do that just through our technology. And I'm just really grateful that you have this platform and you've shared that with us, even create more awareness. And we welcome everyone, as mentioned, to join us with this movement. It's a journey that we're taking together, and we are confident in this. And so thank you. We break systemic barriers by addressing structural challenges. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe in that. Dr. Chevy, please.
Yes, I'm just echo what Kimberly mentioned, and thank you for sharing your platform so we could speak on this important event and journey, I would say. So I'll just repeat what I said initially. For me, the Pan-African Council as well, it's about connecting Africa with the diaspora, African diasporas of the continent, and doing it in genuine ways where you have equal exchanges, where we're learning and building with each other to basically to respond to what's happening to people of African descent globally, whether it's from government perspective, whether it's through grassroots, whether it's through private. So I just want to end on that piece, and I think it's very important, as has been mentioned several times, not just the conversation, but the action component. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you, seeing you, for folks who will be participating and folks who want to continue the conversation and the actions towards Black liberation. I know I sound very cliche, but this is how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for expressing your heart to us this evening. Dr. Vickie, we're still, is the signal, we're still good with signal, right? Okay. If
We'll
sounds
see.
like,
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. I think it's a
Can you
little
hear?
delayed. Yeah, it's a little delayed, but if you can give us your closing remarks, please. Okay. We're having a bit of technical difficulties.
I was going to put it in the chat.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the Pan-African.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, she will type it for us.
I don't want to belabor this. If you,
that's fine. That's fine. Dr. Robyn, please go ahead and close us out.
Just this evening, just now, we had Ghana.
Go ahead, Dr. Robyn. You on mute.
It's the 8 minutes past the hour. It's all starting, you know, it's past midnight on my side, the pumpkin.
Yes.
So yeah, so just to say, I think what Vickie was going to say is, you know, what happens when you, the power of digital, firstly, so the power of what we actually have in our hands with technology is that we can connect with each other in ways that are unprecedented, and they are accelerating. And if we are careful about looking after the ways we choose to be when we're connecting with each other through digital platforms, we can transform what we create together. So many of our digital platforms hold us together in ways that are not co-creative, that are not productive, that are not relational, and that actually do the work of damaging relationships. This type of platform, this type of work that we're doing is very intentional in the process that it uses to hold us together in ways that help us to see and know ourselves and each other, and to trust in our humanity and to access our humanity. And through that, to actually access the huge potential that lies when we are in relationship, that leads to action, as you were saying, Chevy. And then just as Dr. Chevy, you know, Dr. Vickie was saying, I think what you were saying is just on this call, we have this huge representation. What we often have in our dialogues is we will have 30 countries represented in a single call. The insight that you get from the perspectives of listening to people's lived experiences is so profoundly moving. And so we'd really love, again, to invite any who are keen to join us in this experience.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Before we end, I'd like to look at some of the comments that came through during our discussion this evening. Mutiet says, a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Mutiet, for joining us and being a part. We have Chris Jarrett. Let's make sure I'm Chris Jarrett says, Pan-African Caribbean is less about a single event and more about an ongoing process for mutual understanding, collaboration, and advancing the collective interests of African peoples globally. Thank you so much. Koi Pew. It says, he says, Renaissance versus Revolution. Thank you for being for contributing to the show. And Chris sent a comment earlier. She says, Pan-Africanism, the global movement that emphasizes solidarity among African nations and people of African heritage worldwide. We are hoping that we can engage you all on the subject matter, or at least something similar, because I believe this has been very insightful, encouraging to everybody, not only folks within the Pan-African community, but to the entire Black community and the world. Because when Black people do better, the whole world will do better, definitely. And so we need to keep working on these conversations. Dr. Vickie sends her closing remarks. She says, just in this Pan-Africanism conversation tonight, we had Ghana by way of Chicago, Jamaica, Southeast US, which is the Carolinas, Canada, and Sudan via New York, global collaborations, plus multiple countries viewing, listening to the Progressive Mind Show. Thank you so much for bringing this, for sharing this. People are listening and watching all over the world, and we are grateful and we're humble that we are able to be used by God to be an instrument in this time, especially to be able to uplift people, heal, and unite all of us. And so thank you all for being part of the show. Dr. Vickie Casanova for calling last minute to say, Sana, we got to do this. And we answered to the call. So I appreciate the assistance that you helped in producing this show this evening, even though it was within 24 hours. Thank you so much for that, and your heart, of course, and the continuous work you do, Dr. Vickie Casanova. Earlier in the show, we also had Wala ELSHEIKH. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. She is the CEO and co-founder of Birthright Africa. She also gave a powerful presentation. She had to leave earlier for other engaging assignments. And then we had on the show this evening, Kimberly Nelson, who is the CEO of Global Impact Industries. And then, of course, Dr. CHEVY EUGENE from the Caribbean Special, the special rep for the Pan-African Council. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Dr. CHEVY EUGENE, for being on the show. And of course, Dr. ROBYN WHITTAKER, the co-founder of Africa Voices Dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I appreciate your time. We will be back here to talk more about this conversation. I just want to lastly, I want to say that talking about action, Dr. Vickie, is where we've been doing this. We have a huge program in Chicago every year, which I would like you all to be a part of. We can talk more about this. It's a 3-day convention of the diaspora and the global African family to educate, connect business opportunities, both on the continent and in the diaspora, and engage in cultural royal celebrations in the diaspora. It's time we bring our royalty here. It's time we restore the royalty that was stolen from our people in the diaspora. And it's time to connect all of that. And so we have this going on every year. Again, a conversation that a conversation in the movement that I would like you all on the panel this evening to be a part of. Of course, we'll talk about this in detail in the days to come. So thank you so much, Kofi. I think 2 people just came on, so let me give them a shout out. Josh Kofi Tamaklo is the personal assistant to Togbe Nyahotamaklo, one of the kings we have been working with in healing and uniting the diaspora for about 5 years now. So Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Our regards to His Royal Majesty, His Royal Highness Togbe Nyahotamaklo, for availing himself for the work that we've been doing in America. And of course, we will continue in Ghana this year. We're having the first Homecoming Festival for Black Americans in October. Very, very historic. It's the first of its kind in Ghana. And again, Brother CHEVY talking about actions. We understand the assignment, and so we're here. So again, I would like to align with you on some of these things that we are engaging in, and of course, what you're doing. David Ziga says, great. Thank you so much, David Ziga, for joining the conversation. Once again, my beautiful panelists, thank you for being a part of the conversation, for being here. And then, of course, our audience who have stuck with us. We've had about, looking at Facebook now, we've had about, since we started, we had about 1,500 views as we, since we started. And right now we're about, 1,600 views. So it will keep going. By the week, we know that the message will reach far and near. To whom much is given, much is required. I'm your host, Sena, aka Alinko, and we will bring this one to a close. Take care, be brave, keep the Pan-African spirit going. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.